Welcome to Love to See It, a podcast about a woman who's disappointed and sad and mad.
Also, Grant's engaged, so yay for him and Juliana. Exciting times.
Yes, it's finale week, and we didn't need a 3-hour finale to get done what we got done. But things did really pick up at a certain point.
Finally, we've been waiting.
We got to the drama. It was in like the final third of this 3-hour finale. So we have a lot to get into.
Before we do, just a bit of housekeeping. We are going to be covering Temptation Island later this week. A bunch of you have been asking about it. We finally got around to watching. And yes, we do have many new enemies as a result. Also, we recently put out an episode about Severance Season 2 over on Rich Text. So you can find that at claireandemma.substack.com.
All right, let's dive in. 3 hours, live finale. What an event. We start with the cold open of Grant standing by the final rose, buffeted by the wind and rain. He needs to make a decision of who should come first, but the truth is, he doesn't know.
Will he ever choose?
Will he ever choose? We'll see. Then we're live on stage with Jesse Palmer and a studio audience. And Jesse promises there has never been a bachelor who has been more torn over the final two women, which is kind of wild because 2 bachelors have married and had children with their runner-up. So I think they were pretty torn.
Yeah, seems like they were pretty torn.
We've actually never had a bachelor who was aware of how torn he was at the end, as much as Grant.
And made the correct decision.
It seems like the correct decision. Certainly, Letia is not going to do a take backsies, so he better stick with it. We head back to Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. Grant is meeting up with Letia to introduce her to his family, and it goes well. I mean, she comes in and Grant's sister, Taylor, is beaming. She's like, I liked you since day one. I'm really glad you're here.
I was like, is it because you guys look alike?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, she probably does see like a certain similarity that draws her to Letia.
I mean, both of them have faces that I would be happy to stare at all day.
Yeah, sculptures, truly.
Yeah.
Grant's mom has a list of important questions that she thinks will prove whether these women love Grant. She's like, they can't answer these questions unless they're in love. And then it's just kind of the most obvious normal questions that anyone ever asks in this scenario.
Yeah, and Letia's answers are very like, yes, I am sure. I love your son. Letia says all the right things.
Yeah. I mean, what made you love Grant? He's so conscientious. He's so caring. When he met my family, he was so considerate. And what would our future look like? I wouldn't expect Grant to move for me. Maybe we'd start in a neutral place. We'd figure it out together. Like, I love my family. I also want our kids to be close to his family. She's hitting all the notes. And she tells her that she has no doubts she would 100%, 1000% say yes to Grant.
She's feeling confident, and you can tell.
Yeah. Her confidence during this last week, I had already thought surpassed Zen and went into like suspicious. Like Juliana's spiraling out. Zoe's like, well, obviously it's not going to be me, but here I am. I'm going to just have a positive mindset and grind it out. Letia seems very confident.
It felt like she had gotten some sort of reassurance from Grant.
And I was just like, well, he did say that he loved her first. And maybe that really made her feel like, oh, he wouldn't say that to me unless I was the one he was going to choose. And that was kind of my baseline going into this. I was like, he brought up that he loved her unprompted.
Yep.
And she's like, you don't say that when you're the bachelor unless it's to the final woman. And it turns out there's a little more going on. But Letia is like projecting this calm and confidence. And Grant's dad also has a great conversation with Letia. He's like, I got divorced. My wife and I had a great relationship until it took its course, which isn't really what we heard, but I'm sure at the very beginning it was good. And he's like, I don't want that for Grant. And Letia says, well, we want to combine pieces of our childhood in our own way. I'm going to support Grant. I'm going to let him know he's enough. Like, basically, don't worry. We won't get divorced. We're going to figure it out. And he's like, are you ready for a husband? And she says, like, yeah, I'm 31. I have a career. I'm ready. I just feel like the most fulfilling part of your life starts when you have kids. Some people do feel that way.
I think that certainly tracks with what we've seen from her culturally and her mindset. This is something that she wants very, very deeply.
And he's a big fan. He's like, she's so nice. She has great values. I think she'd really fight for the marriage. I noticed that both Grant's parents were definitely assessing the two women on how much they think they would fight to stay married in hard times.
Yeah.
Which is, like, I get it, but, like, I'm also like, probably it was for the best that the two of you finally
right. That's what separated. I was going to say.
Right.
I think it's like, I don't know, maybe when you go through something, it seems like their relationship and separation was a bit traumatic at points. And you can see both of them being like, how do I make decisions now that make sure my kids will never have to experience this?
Yeah, they won't be
like, you can't.
Yeah, they won't be harmed by this on a secondary level. Like, they're not going to fall into the same pattern. And you can't. Yeah. Grant talks to his dad and brings up the big obstacle with Letia. She wants to try for kids in 2 years. And he wants to experience life with his partner for 3 to 4 years. They're off by 1 to 2 years here on their timeline. He was too busy playing ball to enjoy his 20s. And now he wants to travel and just relax with his partner before they start having kids.
Fair enough.
Sure, I guess.
Seems like maybe something he should have told Letia.
Right.
The multiple times they talked about timeline.
Well, when she says 2 years, he just looks kind of ill and is like, great. You don't think that's conveying it clearly enough? And his dad chuckles. He's like, everyone has some dreams and hopes. They want a scripted life. When you love someone, you'll be able to do all those things. You're not going to disagree. You're not going to agree on every single thing, but you'll be okay. Like, his dad is basically like, you're talking about 1 to 2 years here.
Yeah.
Like, it's 1 to 2 years. If you love Letia and you want to have a family together and she wants that with you, why are you letting 1 to 2 years of travel stand in the way of that? Like, you can have your kids 1 year earlier and it's probably fine.
Right. You could probably meet in the middle and say, like, we'll try in 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, I personally think that would kind of be I would be like, okay, like, you have a timeline. They're really not that far apart.
No, and they're
if
both
you love her.
31, right? I mean, they're not.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they're 25.
It's not like they're 25, but it's also not like they're 38. They're not my age. You know what you know what I mean? Like, they have time where that 1 to 2 years is not going to probably make the difference.
And she has said that she would be flexible. So, like, their timelines are pretty close. And she's like, I want to compromise with you on it. And he's like, we're fucked. We have different timelines.
I feel like what we're seeing is just Grant starting to panic and realizing that maybe even though Letia lines up on paper in so many ways that, like, perhaps she's not the right choice for him. And so he's trying to find a reason that it can't work.
Yeah, and he is very clearly settled on this. The past couple episodes, he has been bringing it up in a way where he clearly wants to highlight the fact that they don't actually have the same timeline, no matter how hard she is saying, it's fine, we basically have the same timeline, we'll figure it out. He's like, do we though? I don't know. This seems like it could be a real big problem. So his parents are really impressed. He talks to his mom, who also is like, I love Letia. She loves God. That's great. But you should make a decision for you. And Grant is like, what I've always wanted is getting romantic guidance from my parents. So this rules. This went perfectly. It's like he's like pieced together his storybook family now. They're all together and his mom and dad are like lovingly guiding him through a relationship. And he sits on the bench of feelings with Letia. And he's like, my parents loved you. My sister loved you. It really reaffirms that I love you and I do love you. And she says that she loves him. And then she says, I didn't really say this before, but I haven't said it before to someone that I love them.
Oh, that's when I started to get really worried about her. I was like, she has such a clear vision of what she wants. To her credit, she's been very honest and upfront about it. The minute that she said that, I was like, this is kind of brutal, because I don't think he's going to pick her. And he has clearly given her signals that make her feel very safe in this situation.
Yeah. And the fact that he kind of prompted her to it by confessing his own feelings first at a moment when she was trying to be like, I don't want to give too much of myself. I'm setting a boundary.
To protect myself.
And then he kind of cued her up to be like, don't you love me too? And she'd never said it before. And now she could have given that experience away to someone who is going to pick someone else. That made me feel a little sick. I mean, she did come on the show. You get to the end, you usually say, I love you.
I love you.
So fair play in that sense.
100%. And I do believe that Grant felt those things when he said them.
I believe that too. I don't think he was trying to mess with her intentionally. But it's rough. And I think because she's 31, she's talked about dating. And something that hasn't come up, even though she is like clearly an observant Mormon to some degree and her family is quite traditional, something that hasn't come up is like, I am a virgin. So I was like, okay, she's had clearly like real relationships.
Yeah.
Like it seems like she's really looked for a partner. She's had relationships. This actually makes me think maybe she hasn't had any like particularly serious relationships. If she's never said I love you.
I know.
Like, how serious could it have been?
That's a good point. Or, I don't know.
Not that she's never had relationships, but like it clearly that experience capped out like a little less serious than I had assumed, I guess. We've never really talked much about her relationship history, except that it's been Mormons.
Right. She hasn't really talked about it. I mean, I wonder, I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually don't know. I'm like interested. I would actually be interested to hear more about that.
Same. Yeah. Cause it sometimes in like a more religious, community, like setting, like courtship can look kind of different. And it sounds like that was maybe the case for her. I'm curious what it looked like to like be dating and looking for a husband in her circle.
Yeah, I feel like I don't fully have a sense of what courtship looked like.
Yeah,
for her, because she clearly, it strikes me that like she has had sex before. So I don't think she's like the most religious traditional person. She's open to having a partner who comes from a very different like religious background. Like she's open to leaving her community, moving like to New York City. Like she's clearly not so stringent, but also she says she's only basically dated other Mormons. So there is like an insular quality to her dating life. I don't know. I have like so many questions for Letia, and I hope she does some good interviews.
Yeah, 100%. So at this point, it's Juliana's turn to meet his family, and she is very suggestively in white. She's wearing a lot of white toward the end of this season, and especially
she's willing it.
She's manifesting. She's like, hi, boyfriend. What does my outfit make you think of? Pure white. He's slightly afraid that she's not ready to get engaged, and he's hoping his family can help kind of suss this out for him. And in the moment, Juliana says, or reminds us really, that they've never said they love each other, and she is nervous she won't be able to get there with him. I mean, it's like the last chance.
It's interesting because I didn't have the sense that Juliana like wasn't able to get there, that there was concern about her feelings until like this moment.
There's been that's part of the weird thing about how quick this season has been, is that Grant seems aware that like it's all happening very fast, and she has a few like walls up because of her history. And he's like, I get that she's not there yet, but it's the finale. And one of his final two women has never said that she's in love with him.
They needed those 2 extra weeks.
They needed them. It would have become weird if they had had 2 extra weeks that she hadn't said, I love you. And it didn't feel weird because they'd only hung out like twice.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm like, how often has this ever happened that we get to the finale and one of the women hasn't said, I love you?
I can't remember the last time.
So Grant's dad welcomes Juliana. He's very excited to have an Italian in the house. He's like, is your family like really Italian? Do they make sauce on Sunday? He's like, I know. This kind of reminded me of Meghan Markle's show. I'm sorry, Meghan Sussex's show, where she, every time she has a guest who's from LA, she's like, well, you're Korean and I know Korean people from growing up in LA. And let me tell you everything that I know about Korean culture. Grant's dad is just like, here's what I know about the Italians from living in Canarsie.
I was just like,
up.
hell yeah, he's a Brooklyn guy. I love his dad even more now.
And guess what you always learn about other cultures when you grow up together in like the melting pot of a city? Everything is about family and food.
Food, most
Sunday's
food.
all about family. Don't touch the pot. I'm like, this is every culture and how it's represented in these conversations. And Grant is like, yes, they're so Italian. You would love her dad. You are very similar. And then he shares how they like connected over being lone wolves and they cried together. And Grant's mom is really struck by Juliana's vibrant, positive energy. She thinks Juliana brings peace to his life, and he really needs that because he's been walking this road by himself for a long time. And so she asked Juliana the questions. She's like, what did you fall for in Grant? And Juliana says it was that she could have deep conversations with him about her pain from her last relationship, and she felt understood. And then Juliana admits that she hasn't told Grant she loves him and that he hasn't told her that he loves her, and she's been holding back a little bit. And his mom is like, well, how do you know you'll ever get there? And she says that's something that has been on her head. Like I
think she meant mind.
It's been
or Juliana.
That
she always like, she often says like almost the right word and then not quite.
She's given to malapropisms.
Yeah,
and,
it's cute.
And, like, slightly mangled phrases.
Yeah.
But part of it is that she says it in such a poised way, and then you're like, that was wrong.
Yeah, you know what? She delivers it with confidence.
Exactly. And she's like, that's been on my head, but an engagement means forever to me, and I can see myself spending the rest of eternity with Grant. My hesitancy is just that I want to make sure I can give him that. And in the moment, she says she's afraid to say it while there's a chance that it's not her.
I think Letia was also afraid to say it.
Yeah. And Grant is like, these women are all afraid to say it. What if I just say it to them first? And then they like kind of don't have a choice. It's like, no pressure, but I love you. Is there anything you'd like to say to me? I feel like production is kind of, I don't want to say falling down on the job, but have they majorly backed off of this? I feel like that was production's job to like really pump these women up to be like, Grant really cares about you. He can't say that he loves you yet, maybe, but like, I can tell that he does. See the way he treats you. Like, don't you love him? Aren't you afraid that if you don't open up to him, he'll send you home and you'll miss out? Like, that's kind of what they always do behind the scenes.
I know.
It doesn't feel like they're doing that this season.
No,
they're letting Grant do it. They're like, Grant, how are you going to entice this woman to say she loves you?
And he's like, I'm on it. Don't worry.
I'm on it. I'm going to set a honey trap. So Grant's mom brings this obstacle up to Grant, and he's like, it's fine. Like, I think maybe it's just because there's still someone else involved. Like, I don't fault her for that. It's interesting that he really doesn't seem to feel concerned that she is not into him. Like, he's like, she won't say it, but I know that she loves
Which,
him.
honestly, to be fair, I also had no concern that she wasn't into him.
She just seems very like emotional and like smitten with him in a way that I'm like,
yeah, I feel like they've had explicit conversations about the future that they would have. I just I think he was right to not panic about it, honestly.
Well, clearly, yeah. But his mom is panicking a little bit. She's like, look, She seems wonderful, but as your mom, if she doesn't tell you she loves you, I'm asking you to walk away from that. And that's where they got the clip
Yeah,
to make it
that
seem
we've
like
seen teased.
to make it seem like she was saying, if you're torn, you should walk away from this. But she really was saying, don't propose to a woman who doesn't love you. And fortunately, it doesn't come to that. But on that note, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the rest of Juliana's meeting the parents and some last chance dates.
Can you keep up? I love it.
And we are back. And Juliana sits down to chat with Grant's dad, who invites her to ask him questions. Questions don't just have to go one way.
And she asks if Grant struggles outside of this experience with not letting himself have bad days, if he always tries to be like chipper with people. Like basically she's like, I'm always trying to tell him that he can show me how he's really feeling, but he always like puts on a good face. And is that really what he's like? Which is interesting because I feel like that's more her thing in their relationship, is always putting on the good face.
Right. And she's been very open about that.
But yeah, he says that Grant has had bad days, of course, but he's like, yeah, he doesn't always want to let me be there for him in hard times. He'll ask for space. And maybe that's just because he didn't trust me at that time to be there for him. But I think Grant feels safe with you and you make him want to open up.
It's very sweet.
I think that like his parents show a lot of like self-awareness about how bad Grant's childhood was.
Yeah.
That suggests like good things about how much they've like processed it together.
Yeah. It seems like everyone's has done a lot of work in this family.
Yeah.
To get to where they are now.
And in the moment, Grant's dad says, if you can get Grant to talk about his feelings, you're already on third base going home. And I'm like, have you seen this season? He is sharing his feelings.
He's doing it. Also, it's like, wow, the bases metaphor are being used in a whole new way.
I love to hit third base, a man telling me about his feelings. Grant's dad tells him about this conversation and how like impressed he was that Juliana wants to see what makes Grant tick. He's like, that was a really good question. Like she's interested in how you think. And Grant expresses that he's worried because she could be the person for him, but the love has to come first and it hasn't happened yet. And his dad agrees, but he's like, I think you're safe with Juliana.
And then we have the sweetest exchange between Grant and his dad. This made me so emotional. I think we both cried watching this.
Crying. Everyone was crying. Grant and his dad were crying on screen. We were crying at home. He tells his dad that he's always wanted to have this kind of relationship with him and to have someone that he can talk to like as a friend without holding back. And his dad tells him that he's proud of him. And he says, man, you put up with some stuff. You've been there for me. You're my heart, man. It's because of you that I'm here. In spite of my madness, you're still my son. You still loved me. I made some bad decisions, but you turned out. You're a gem. I love the man that you become. He says, I'm not leaving anymore. Sweet. I'm here until God takes me. It's very sweet.
It's really sweet. It's really sweet. And like, yeah. That's, I think, the self-awareness that you were referencing.
Yeah.
Earlier. And it's just really moving to see how generational trauma can be healed, how people can work on themselves, can like offer forgiveness to someone. I mean, it's just really beautiful. And you can tell it's like such a gift that Grant and his dad get to have this healthier relationship now that Grant is an adult.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I love that his dad didn't shy away from the fact that it hasn't always been easy between them.
Yeah. I mean, that's often like the key to recovering a relationship like this, is to be able to say, yeah, I wasn't there for you. I did let you down, and not to make excuses or pretend that didn't happen. And sometimes that's a hard thing to do. And he's willing to do that for his relationship with Grant. And I just was very touched by this moment.
Too. Grant's dad was like the star of this finale.
No. If I were Grant's mom, I'd be like, hey, again, the person who held the whole family together.
Honestly, I did have that sense when Jesse asked about his dad at AFR, and Grant is like, well, I was so grateful to have my whole family there.
Yes.
You can tell his mom's like, I fucking put in all the work.
Yeah, for years.
And now my ex gets the fucking glory.
The prodigal son returned. But they're weeping together. We're all weeping. It's a very sweet moment. And after he and Juliana sit on the bench of feelings, and Grant has decided to take the leap. Once again, is this the only season where says I love you first to every woman who says it to him?
I mean, yeah, in my memory. It's wild.
He tells her that she gives him butterflies, and he says, I've been waiting to tell you that I do love you. And after today, I can feel that. And he tells her there's no pressure, but obviously there's pressure. And Juliana tells him it's exciting and exhilarating and obviously nerve-wracking because there's someone else here. I've debated just what it would mean to actually love you. I'm finally realizing after meeting family, it's not one particular moment that's going to hit me. I think I know I love you too. I think I know I love you too. I've decided it seems like I love you.
I do think, though, Grant, that's all he needed.
No, that's 100%. He just needed her to say. But it just was such a classic, in a way, Bachelor moment where it's like, why do I suddenly love you now? I'm going to hang it on I met your family. That's what made me realize I loved you. And even more than that, she's just like, I realize that I will never maybe know that I love you. I guess I know now. I guess I know now. I'm not going to know later any more than I know now. So I guess I know now. I've reached the point in the journey where I have fallen in love with you. But Grant is thrilled. He's like, I was nervous and embarrassed to tell her, but now I feel like I could conquer anything.
And then he starts looking ill. He's like, wait,
with Letia.
I'm in love with two people.
I'm also like, was part of what happened here that he fell in love with Letia too early, and then falling in love with Juliana felt like the fresher triumph, the fresher thrill.
Interesting. I think maybe it's partly that. I do think he fell in love with Letia early. I also think he fell in love with Letia, and then once he had her, he was like, wait, maybe there are things here that are matching up less well than with Juliana. And so once the I love you came from Juliana, that's when I felt like, okay, I think he's going to go in that direction. It's like that was the thing that was missing. Even
it's
if he had
like
to kind of extract
Letia.
it.
Yeah, he had Letia like on hold or like on ice, and he had that moment in Fantasy Suites where he was like, should I just stop now and pick Letia, or do I keep like trying to make things happen with this other woman? And he's sort of like, okay, I'll keep Letia on ice and I'll see if I can make things happen with the other woman. Why would you do that unless you
kind of wanted it to be the other person?
It to be the other woman.
Yeah.
I also wondered, like, the fact that he was the one to say I love you first both times. Like, it's got to be partly that the season's short. But
Absolutely.
I do think there are women who would have said it earlier. And I'm wondering if Grant, like, is maybe a little bit drawn to women who he has to chase. Like, if...
I mean, most of us are, to be honest.
Most of us are. Sure, like, but like more so than usual, because usually this doesn't happen. Usually the woman says it first to the lead, and I was like, is Grant?
I do think he kind of likes the challenge.
He likes a challenge. I'm like, is he repeating a bit of a pattern with Letia, where he's like, this is the mommy I can get to pay attention to me and love me the way I need if I just love her hard enough. So back in the studio, Jesse is like, a bachelor in love with two women at the same time. How? And also, how many of them have already done this? So many.
Oh my God.
He brings on a panel to talk about this experience.
I was like, guys, just make this show 2 hours and 30 minutes then. Like, we don't need this.
This is what I thought when it initially happened. And then I realized later in the show that they knew that Grant was going to get absolutely shredded.
They're like,
and
we
they
need
were
to
trying
associate
to
him with others. They're like, we need to show that this is just a thing that happens. It's not
Yeah.
about Grant.
Because sometimes this happens and they throw the lead to the wolves. They're just
I know,
like,
I
what a
was-
monster you are.
You know, look, I was actually very glad that they did not, the show itself did not pummel Grant. Because
yeah.
he does not deserve that.
Well, I think they wanted to shore him up because what had started to happen is men especially kept doing this, saying they loved multiple women or like going even further with what they were saying to the women or doing with the women. And the season would end in a complete mess where one of the women felt really led on and wronged. And he would be the villain. And it would be like, why did you do that, you piece of shit? And they're like, the fans were not into it anymore. Like, it's not cathartic anymore. We don't want to see this end to the season anymore. They're like, we have to turn the ship. But that is what happened. And that is the drama at the end of the season. So how do we kind of like shore him up in advance and kind of like reframe the conversation in a way that's a little bit less negative toward Grant?
Yeah, they were like, it's just part of the process. And this is just what
Yeah.
happens. And it's real and so crazy. But also this panel was hilarious.
Oh, it was content free, to be clear.
But also like, what is this combination of people?
Charity, Clayton, and Gary. I do think they had to put Charity on there to be like, see, women do it too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were desperate. I was like, what did Charity do to deserve being?
I guess
in
she
this
told
group?
Joey she loved him. Joey's fine, though. Not worried about Joey.
Yeah. The emotional fallout seemed less severe. I mean,
Yeah.
Clayton. They're
Well,
like
Clayton's situation was beyond.
was beyond. Yeah. Was
That was
well,
still-
that's why it's
I
just
still
funny
can't
to be
re-
like, these
Yeah.
people, they did the same thing. You're like,
I
well,
know.
huh?
And Gary, of course, also told his top three. Didn't Gary tell Faith he loved her like in front of her family?
Yeah.
That was brutal. I was like,
It
what
was
are you
brutal.
doing, man? Anyway, they're all the same. They all did the same thing. And they all just are like, you never know what can happen until you go through this experience. It's so expedited. It's so you compartmentalize. Like you love each of their unique characteristics. And like, yeah, no, we've all heard that. And then they offer advice. And Charities is like, don't wait till the last 30 minutes to decide. And also trust yourself. And Gary's is, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, which I don't know what that means. And then he says, trust your feeling. It's that some of us didn't do. We tried to be logical. Is he saying that he didn't really want to pick Teresa? Like that he wasn't listening to himself?
I don't know. This
That's
was
the
very
implication.
confusing.
The implication is like choosing Teresa was a logical choice. That wasn't what he really wanted. And that was his mistake.
But it's so bizarre because that's not really how it struck
no.
me watching it. That like, oh, the most obvious logical choice is Teresa.
I do feel like there
I
was
don't know.
discussion at the time of like, well, does he feel like another widow will like be more of someone who like knows how to be married?
No,
like
and
him,
I
or,
mean, I
like-
do think he did, but I feel like that was actually an emotional response, not necessarily a removed logical one.
I guess you can debate what the difference between emotion and logic is, but I think that is the kind of decision that you make by that you can overthink about instead of actually feeling like I love her
That's
because
true.
she is widowed. You're thinking like I should choose the woman who has a track record of marital success. Anyway,
I think he wanted Teresa, and now he's like retconning.
yeah, that's honestly what I thought. But and then Joan pipes in from the audience and is like, I only said it to one person because I didn't want to hurt anyone. So I kept it to myself. It's like,
Thanks,
great job, Joan. You're making Clayton feel like garbage up there right now.
I feel like Clayton is like, I have been through so much. You cannot hurt me with this television moment. Like
That's true. He's like, at this point, it's funny. Like Gabby's married to a woman and like,
yeah,
Rachel is living her
Susie's
best life.
here in the audience. She's thriving. Like we're good.
Private secret situationship with someone else. Like everyone's fine.
Yeah.
At
He's
least
like,
that's
I
what I
won
assume Susie's
all
doing.
my lawsuits, so
Yeah.
I'm feeling fucking great.
So they do this to fill some time and to, I think, set Grant up for a less painful end to his season.
And then we get to the final dates. Right
Juliana first. And we start by watching Juliana endlessly fuss with her hair in a mirror by almost imperceptibly shifting a few strands back and forth.
They always make them do this B-roll. They're either like lean over a balcony and look pensive or stare at yourself in the mirror and pretend to redo your makeup and hair.
I do feel like they have been definitely, Juliana has been framed as like kind of vain or like superficial, like more than usual. There's B-roll and like actual content in the show of her being like, oh my God, do I look okay? Like, oh my God, my hair.
I mean, I would also be like, oh my God, my hair if I was on national television.
So would I,
so.
which is why Litia's date
Yeah.
would be my absolute nightmare. They meet on a pier because they're going on a boat. So they lounge, they have champagne. It's one of those classic, like you lie in the middle of like the deck and have champagne on a daybed. Grant
Which is
toasts-
great if you really like the other person and supremely awkward if you don't. But luckily they like each
They
other
like
a
each
lot.
other, and I guess they don't get motion sick. Actually, both these dates would be really bad for me. Grant toasts to us and to having a good time. In the moment, he says they started with a really physical relationship and he didn't know if they'd connect emotionally, but they have. Juliana thinks Grant is a rare man. He wants someone to water him and someone he can water, but not someone to complete him, someone he can grow with. That type of man.
Ah, yes.
It's
of
hard to
course.
find a man who wants to water and be watered, you know? I know
The
she was
Grant
talking
garden is blooming.
I know she was talking about a plant, but I kept thinking of a horse. Like they're offering each other buckets of water to slurp. And Grant jokes to her that he was nervous to tell her he loved her. He says, there was a chance I'd say I love you, and you'd be like, well, I like your shirt. And I did like his shirt. It had like latch hooked sort of like star flowers on it.
Yeah,
or
he had
something.
some
was-
good day
Yeah.
outfits.
Good funky vacation fashion.
Mm-hmm.
But no, she loved him, so it was fine. Suddenly, it's the night date. I was like, did I miss something?
They're not worrying about transitions here, Claire.
It was like a 45-second date. I felt that I had missed something.
I was like, oh, I'm so glad we had that panel.
Juliana welcomes him to her suite in a sparkly purple cocktail dress.
Very clear that she had some rose ceremony outfits that she was like, I'm not going to get to wear these. So pulling out my formal wear for this.
Yeah, Tatiana texted us like, why are they just staying in her room? And I was like, they always do that for the last chance night date. But it's just because she's so dressed up.
She's in like stilettos and formal wear.
Well, when I welcome someone over to sit on my couch with me and relax for an hour or two, I too put on stilettos and formal wear.
I'm just picturing like me like walking upstairs, opening the door to your apartment, and you're just like draped over your couch in a gown.
Come in, please.
Yeah.
Oh, this old thing? This is what I wear just when I'm lounging.
You and Nara Smith.
Grant is in a black and white cookie outfit again. It's like a textured floral black shirt and white pants.
No, Grant, we need the sandwich method.
Yeah, sandwich method. Or like break it up a little bit with like a little white in the shirt or like
Well,
black touch on the-
right, exactly.
Yeah, well, yeah,
That
the sandwich
counts.
method.
Yeah.
The sandwich method. In the moment, Grant is nervous. Maybe after her heartbreak, she's not really ready. Grant tells her that she is special. He does say like the same things to the women. He's always like, you're special and I love you. That's
You're-
like the
and
special.
amazing.
You're special.
It's cool
and
how
amazing.
you're so amazing.
You're beautiful, and also the way you carry yourself. I really
Oh
respect.
yeah,
And
he's
your
very
heart,
impressed with the way that these women carry themselves.
their demeanors and their hearts. He's afraid of getting his heart broken because it's happened before, and an engagement is coming up. He asks her, "Are you ready? Will you break my heart? Do you know for sure if you will or won't break my heart?"
Grant.
Oh, buddy. He's like, I want to eliminate all the variables here. Just like, give it to me straight. What are you going to do? And Juliana says, it's a good question. And what she can promise is that she'll do her best to handle his heart with care. She's like, I know that feeling. It's scary for me too. I didn't know that I would get here with him, and I didn't know what ready would look like. It all happened so quickly.
Really quickly.
Really quickly. And it's clear that she still is kind of like, is this love? Is this ready? Is this marriage? I
She's
don't
like,
know.
but I guess I should go for it.
I mean, if you see a beautiful, tall man who loves doing freestyles and all you want to do is just drape your body around him and put your fingers on his face, I
Then
think
you
that's
go for
love.
it.
You go for it. She says being able to exchange I love yous was the reassurance she needed to feel prepped to enter an engagement. She's prepped.
She's prepped.
She's
so
been
happy.
briefed.
She's prepped like the vegetables I make on a HelloFresh recipe.
I was thinking flashcards.
Yeah.
I've prepped. I've looked at all the pictures of the dignitaries who will be there and the names of their wives on the back.
I'm pre-chopped. I'm ready to go. Toss me in.
Toss me in. After this, Grant feels that she was in denial about being in love, and that makes sense. But opening up their feelings is allowing them both to feel safe. But Juliana actually isn't feeling that safe.
Well, she's aware there's still another person there.
Yeah, he's not saying to her, I promise I will get engaged to you. She's saying
I
that
won't break
to him.
your heart.
Yeah. And she's like, I know he could be saying the same things to Letia, and he is. And she would be devastated if he didn't choose her. And on that note, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Letia's date and, of course, Grant's final decision.
Can you keep up? I like love it.
And we are back, and it's time for Letia's last chance date. And Grant is wearing orange for the occasion.
It's like a nubbly, linen-y looking shirt.
I like it. I think the day wear is better than the night wear for Grant and this whole DR portion.
He pulls off like a casual day look very well, but the suits often don't seem well fitted enough to him.
I know. Something's a little off. Letia looks beautiful, of course.
She's in like a long skirt, like looks sort of maybe almost like a pareo style skirt. And unfortunately,
this is like dreamy vacation wear, but yeah, not quite appropriate to the activity.
Unfortunately, the date is horseback riding. But Letia is, of course, like the only woman that I would expect to very gracefully get on a horse wearing a long wrap skirt.
Yeah, luckily also she is like a very experienced horseback rider.
She looks like a Disney lead. Like it's truly like they're riding through the driving rain and her hair just looks more beautiful than ever.
Oh my God.
She's glistening and she has her little skirt pulled up on horseback. She looks so comfortable.
This is cinematic. I actually was blown away by like the drama of the weather, and the two of them are so serene, and she's just getting more and more gorgeous as she gets soaked. It's wild.
Most of us do not look like that when we get pelted with rain, but also I would just be like uncomfortable getting rained on like that, and she seems they're completely unfazed. Grant is not fazed by the rain, but he is phased. He is shitting a brick because he's like, I am going to break someone's heart. Now both women are in love with me. Fuck.
Thanks to my own actions. And also, this is when I knew it was like the death knell for Letia. Because in his ITM, he says, Letia is a picture of what he was looking for coming into this.
Yeah. In other words, Letia is the good on paper girl.
Yep.
And when bachelors pick the woman that they describe that way, they end up married to the woman that they rejected.
Right. Then they just do something worse, which is like leave that woman in like 3 months.
Because if she were more than someone who hit your checklist, you wouldn't be thinking of her that way anymore.
Well, exactly.
You're still thinking of her with that logic of like, well, she's everything that I wanted to find. So
I should love her. I do love her. It's like after the first time, every time he says that he loves Letia, it feels like he's talking himself into it. He's like, I do. I definitely still do.
It was not a mistake to tell her I loved her because I do love her. And if I didn't, it would have been a mistake to tell her that. But I do. So but I do. It's actually fine.
I
that said
do. And
that.
she just has so many qualities. So many.
The ones that I was looking for coming into this. Afterward, they drip dry off, and Letia tells him that she loved the date. She feels close to her dad when she's by the ocean. She feels close to her grandma when she's with horses. And she feels close to Grant when she's with Grant. So she was close to all three of them during this date.
She just looks so blissfully happy, and Grant starts to look ill.
I mean, she looks at peace. She looks
Yeah.
like this is my future. Like, this is my
Yes.
happiness. And he's like, oh God,
shit,
she is not going to be prepared for this to go another way. And gosh, I wonder why. He tells her that he didn't do everything right in this journey. But the
You
best
think?
thing he did was getting to know her.
Is that the best thing? Grant, stop saying shit like this.
Right. I'm like, was it better to get to know her than the woman you're actually going to propose to tomorrow? Like, it was nice to meet my fiance and the love of my life and the future mother of my children. But you know what was even better? Meeting the woman that I dated and broke up with before that. But Grant has a heavy heart because of the decision that's coming. He has to have some serious conversations with Letia. In other words, he needs to try to nail her down to a timeline that he can say is too fast for him.
Exactly. It's like at this point, Grant is just looking for an out. And he's like, I think I've found it, and I'm going to present it to her tonight.
Yeah. So the night date comes. Her date actually felt like it had an arc where I wasn't confused when it was suddenly over. Clearly nothing happened on Juliana's whatsoever. But as we approach the night date, Letia is alone in her suite, and we see that she's writing in like a journal. And it zooms in, and we can see that it's addressed to Granty. Granty.
Like, oh no, not the nickname. I don't like it.
That's the kind of thing that, you know, you call your boyfriend and his bros over here, and they all make fun of him for the rest of his life. Oh, Granty. Grantykins. She's looking a little more casual than Juliana in like a cozy looking gray dress. Grant
More, I'd say, appropriate for the setting outfit.
Yeah, they look like they're having a nice cozy night in. And Grant is ready to nail her to the wall on a wrong answer here. He's like, Letia the woman. Okay? She wants to be a mother. How much pressure do you feel to accomplish that? Like for her family, how much pressure does she feel?
And she's basically like, I don't.
Zero.
I just want it, and my family is supportive because they know I want that, but they actually aren't pressuring me.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, goddamn it.
Okay. Sure. The way that he, I'm like, even in these moments where I'm like, who's Letia the woman? Like, she's right in front of you. Like, just talk to
Letia
her.
the woman.
Why are we doing third person right now? It's like, let's look at this specimen over here. Letia the woman.
The woman, she wants to be a mother. That's her.
Around here, in this region of the woman, we see the desire to be a mother. But is that emanating from within her, or is it projected onto her from the exterior? He asked what would happen if he told her in 2 years that he wasn't ready to have kids still. And I just want to say, Grant, it sounds like you're going to wait 2 years and then be like, actually, I want to wait longer, in which case just maybe be upfront about that now.
Right, just say it. It's okay. You're allowed. You're actually allowed to want more time.
She says it would depend on the reason. If it was because he had more to accomplish first, because he wants to be a present father, of course, because she wants him to be happy and ready and excited. And she kisses him, but he looks deeply unsettled.
Like,
I want to know about a reason that wouldn't be okay. Yeah, he's like, oh no, that's not. It sounds like she's saying like, don't dick me around, right? Like, don't keep being like 2 more years. I just want to have more fun. But like, if
there's a reason.
If you like have like really important reasons that you don't feel ready yet to like be a really present father like you want to be, then I don't want to rush you into that right away. And he's like, oh, I really would love for you to sound a little more inflexible on this.
Yeah, unfortunately, Letia is quite flexible. She knows what she wants, but she's also very reasonable.
Yeah. So Letia clocks that he is not happy with this response, but she reads it a little bit differently than we are. She's like, you're stressed. When you're unhappy or stressed, I feel unhappy or stressed, and I feel calm for myself, but I know how stressful and frustrating this week is for you, and I want to share it with you and make you feel like you're enough.
She's reading it as he is stressed out that he's going to have to send Juliana home.
Yeah. And she's like, we're in this together. Like, right. I understand that you're the one who has to do the hard thing this week. And then after that, we'll be together. And I wish I could like take some of this burden off of you. The things that he must have been saying to her for her to feel this level of confidence, like it's mind boggling. I've never seen a final two contestant who seemed this completely free of anxiety and at peace. She's like, for myself, I'm not worried. Like, Letia, in theory, you're the one who could be going home alone.
Right.
She clearly doesn't think that's on the table. And she's like just trying to like nurture him through this. And all the while his anxiety is clearly that he is going to have to reject the woman that he has been promising marriage to this whole time, which is her.
Right. And then she says that she's never said I love you before because she fears that if she says it, it will make her more likely to lose it. Oh,
yeah, that's going to fuck her up.
And she says, I had to stop myself from saying I love you earlier, but you make me feel so safe saying it. Brutal.
Well, he did make her feel very
No, he did in fact make her feel safe, but like you probably shouldn't make someone feel that safe.
Right. It's actually not a good
sure.
thing. The way that people keep saying that Grant makes them feel so safe, the consequences of that have been somewhat hidden because of how quick the season has been and how like we said, he didn't have to walk someone out until Dina. And Dina and Zoe both seemed to know what was coming and to be fine with it.
Yeah.
So we've never seen him have to like sit with the consequences of making a woman feel really safe that he was committed to them in some way, or that he like planned to move forward with them, like, and then
pulling the rug out. Yeah.
And that's just part of the job to some extent. It is. That's part of the role. But if you're making everyone feel so safe to completely open up to you, it's possible that you might be like leading them slightly astray. In the moment, she says Grant taught her so much she didn't know about her own relationship with love. He's created a space of safety for her to love. He's carved out a haven within this show in which there will be no fear of getting sent home.
God.
Only promises for the future.
And Grant tells Letia at this point that she's special. He sees her compassion.
I keep hearing that. It's so funny. He said exactly the same thing to Juliana at this point in the show. To watch back and be like, and that was the point where he told each of us, you're special.
You're special. You're so special. Just like the other special
Just like
one.
the other one. He says he sees her compassion and the way she makes him feel. He says her heart is special, and that's hard to find.
What the fuck does that mean? Nothing.
She has a special heart. So sometimes it's hard to know what you want or what you need until it's in front of you. I know what I need, and I see that in you. And she jokes, pick me. And they laugh, and he says, you're funny. It's hard to read these back knowing what's coming. And
I know.
I think at this point he still was like, I think I can do it. I think I can go forward with what I had planned to do with Letia.
He's like waffling, but he's being a little careful with the language because he's like, I know what I need and I see that in you. It's not like, and you're what I need. It's I see the things that the amorphous things I need in you.
I think it's also that they don't show us any of the stuff that clearly some of which happened on camera that would make it seem like it was definitely her. That doesn't serve the show.
That's true.
So, I mean, but yeah, it's true. We don't see him definitely say that it's her, but I do get the sense that at this point he's really struggling because he's starting to think that he wants to pick Juliana, but he's like, I've been telling Letia it's her. I've been planning with Letia that it's her.
I think he thought he was going to pick Letia,
Yeah.
and he was giving her a lot of indications, clearly from very early on.
Yeah. So Grant is now a complete mess. He loves them both. Their hearts are both in his hands. Why not pick either of them? They're both caring, beautiful, smart. He's in a real pickle.
It's a great argument for Bachelor throuple.
On proposal morning, believe it or not, Grant went to bed thinking he knew his decision. But this morning, he's torn again.
So what you're saying is he went to bed being like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna propose to Letia. And in the morning, he's like, I don't think I should.
Yeah, in the morning, he's like, I actually don't want to propose to Letia, but if I don't, it's going to be real bad.
Yeah.
He feels alone because he can't lean on the women for this. At least we have this self-awareness. And then there's a knock on his suite door. It's his dad. And his dad is like, I stayed for you. The rest of the family already flew back, but he's like, I knew this is a big decision for you, son.
It's very sweet.
And Grant admits that he's struggling to make a decision because if he picks someone and it doesn't work out, well, it's like, I should have picked the other one. So honest. He's basically like, this is the thing. He's like, whenever, like, that must kind of haunt these relationships.
Yeah.
Is like, well, I could have
If it
picked this
fails.
other amazing woman. And like, now you're here. You're not being like everything I dreamed of. Like, maybe she would have been.
It's rough.
And then he summarizes his options in this way. I was deceased. He's like, I have a woman who's 31 and knows what she wants and would be there for me. And a woman who also loves me, but our relationship is more fun.
I have a woman who's 31.
And then I have a fun one.
Yeah. Yikes.
These are my options. The one who's 31 and the one who's fun. As a 36-year-old, I'm offended.
I know. I was like, wow. As a
How old
37-year-old.
is Juliana? Like,
it's rough. Is she like
she's not that much younger,
28?
is she? She's 28.
Is she 28?
She's 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
She's 3 years
you know what
younger.
happens.
She's still in.
I think we all know what happens after 30.
You cross the
Yeah.
threshold. No, but it's so clear the way that he thinks of them still. It's like, here is the
Letia
woman who
the
is
good
wifey.
on paper. She's right. She is like
Yeah.
checking all the boxes. She's, we're the same age. She knows what she wants. She's ready to be there for me. She's ready to build a life with me. But like, Juliana's like so fun and we love
Yeah.
each other.
And like, the reality is that like, I don't think that Grant and Letia are a great fit.
I agree. I think that he just kind of duped himself into being like, she's obviously the one to choose. Like, she's gorgeous. She is like serious about the things that I'm saying I want. But yeah, there are barriers to that relationship that we have talked about the whole season.
There are a lot of barriers, but I mean, even beyond that, I don't think that they
Personality wise.
mesh that well. Like, I think that she is the perfect like wife and mother archetype who is so nurturing, so understanding, so sweet. Like, everything he says, she's there to like nod and smile and be like, I want that for you. Like, they don't joke around together really. Like, they don't seem to share a sense of humor or like the fun things about their lives they don't really connect on. It's just that like she offers just this like endless ocean of care and support, and he thirsts for that. He's like, she is like
Especially
pouring
because
all this love and care into me that I want.
Right. And that
she's
I didn't
gorgeous.
have when I was a kid. And like,
Yeah.
she wants to give those things to me that I've always wanted. Like, it makes a lot of sense why he gravitated towards her. And it also makes a lot of sense why ultimately he sees Juliana as a better fit for him. Like, their vibe is more fun. They have that banter.
Right. They actually
and like,
talk about things they have in common, right? Like, they connect over things they have in common in jokes, and chemistry. And with Letia, it's more like he admires her and he enjoys like soaking up her love. And this is one of the things that I
Right.
think can be really harmful for women about buying into these like gendered expectations of what they should be in relationships, because it becomes less about who you are and being
More about what
individually
you can give.
appreciated. But yeah, and having your unique self appreciated, and more about like are you providing really good service to your male
the men.
partner in all of these ways? And Letia provides amazing service, but was Grant ever really appreciating just spending time with her and like the unique facets of her mind and personality? I don't know.
And it does sort of feel like by the end of this season, Letia has kind of clocked this. Like,
yeah, we see the moment when it happens.
Yeah. But like, oh my gosh, I am pouring so much of myself into this, and I am working overtime to be this like supportive person. I've done everything right.
Right.
And it still didn't work out.
Yeah. So his dad tells him to go with his heart, and Grant is like, I'm scared things will be different when we leave. They won't be as perfect. And like, yes, that's true. They definitely won't be as perfect.
No, because you're both humans. So
and his dad is like, yeah, that's normal. You understand that there will be hard times in life, and it won't be like being on vacation in Punta Cana forever. And he's like, well, I'm scared to let someone down. And his dad says, yeah, someone will be hurt. Life goes on. Make this decision for you. And this is very good advice. This is something that maybe Ari should have known, that maybe Jason Mesnick should have known. Like, it's worse to make the decision that feels logical and resist what you're feeling, because then you hurt both people at different times and make a
yourself.
bigger mess. And yourself.
You just have to do the hard thing. You're here, right? You're here. You're facing this choice. A choice is going to be made.
Yeah.
And there's going to be fallout, but like life does go on.
His dad weeps and is in the moment and says he's fortunate to have a son like Grant. Meanwhile, Juliana is again manifesting in all white pajamas as she journals. She's terrified. There's a 50% chance it's not her, and rejection is all she's known. Meanwhile, Letia is feeling hopeful. She and Grant love each other. And then she says, but Juliana is beautiful and kind, and she deserves love too. That's not really the same thing as saying he could pick Juliana. She's saying, like, Juliana deserves love. Grant and I love each other, and I'm hopeful for our future. Again,
she does then finally say, I realize there is a possibility I won't be with Grant at the end, but I would be very confused and heartbroken.
That almost sounds like it's in response.
Confused.
She is. That almost sounds like a response to a producer being like,
but you know there's a possibility. And she's like, yeah, I do realize.
Oh, you seem so optimistic. Do you realize that it could be? And she's like, oh yeah, I realize that's a possibility. But she clearly doesn't think it's a very real one. Yeah.
No.
And that's sort of like if you were like, do you realize there's a possibility that Greg could say no at the altar? I'd be like, I guess I realize there's a possibility, but like I would be very confused.
Yeah, I'd be
plan this
quite
whole wedding.
shocked.
Grant goes to see Neil Lane. A ring really symbolizes what he wants, he tells us, which is engagement. It's quite literally a symbol.
Thank you, Grant. Thank you for explaining that to us.
And Neil Lane seems to be really on Grant's wavelength because he uses Grant's sort of same formulation here. He's like, Grant, 6 rings, 1 guy, 2 girls.
I simply cannot think of anything but 2 girls, 1 cup.
I know.
This is someone uses this formulation.
It's the 2 girls, 1 cup season. He shows Grant some different stone cuts, and Grant says, wow, to each of them. He thinks that what he loves about Letia is how ready she is, which ironically is also what he doesn't like about Letia. He says, everything I look for, she is.
It's just so good on paper.
Yeah, it's like it's not about seeing her. It's about seeing his checklist reflected in her.
It's not her as a complete person.
Yeah.
It's just like really not how you want someone you're dating to talk about you.
It's like the wire cutter verbiage, like the wire cutter report on my future spouse. Like this one has the best of every product on the market. With Juliana, he loves the fun and romance and how much they have in common. They could help each other heal and grow. See, one of these sounds like it's a relationship with a person, and one of them sounds like a relationship with a new washer dryer. Yeah. Grant dons a blue suit and a pink and purple tie, like it's sort of like
bold,
dual tone. It is like it's a saturated look.
Yes.
Juliana puts on an off-the-shoulder pink sparkly gown.
Like pink, orange, creamsicle,
Yeah, like coral.
sherbet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recognized it immediately as a self-portrait dress. It's gorgeous. I have wanted to try that dress.
You would look amazing in it. Letia has on a spaghetti strap gold sparkly gown, and I don't say this lightly, seems too tight. Like, she looks amazing, but I was like, I don't think she can breathe or bend over or
She
walk
can't really
in that
walk.
dress.
But
Like,
she
it
is the most like. I think my jaw like hit the floor though when I saw her.
I mean, they were prioritizing jaws hitting the floor over function of any kind. But we'll get to the walk down to the proposal spot.
Both of their dresses are very form-fitting, but poor Letia's like does not allow her ability for real movement.
It really goes all the way to the floor. Grant sits in his room examining the ring box. He has a ring and he doesn't know who he's giving it to. We hear a producer tell him that it's time to go.
He's just looking so on the verge of vomiting for like a solid 60% of this episode.
Yeah. You would
including
think
AFR.
Jesse greets Grant at the proposal spot. It is like monsooning. It's rain, wind. I'm sure they were planning to have this like on a beach, and instead it's under like a palapa.
Yeah.
By the water. And Jesse asks how you choose between two women you're in love with. And Grant is like, I don't know. You tell me. Like, does anyone have any advice?
I guess I have to figure it out real soon.
Jesse tells him the women are on their way and he needs to know which one to send first. And Grant says in a voiceover, I just don't know how you look at somebody in the face that you really do love and tell them you don't want to be with them. And I was like, for once, I really wish Nick Lachey were here to tell him it's the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. But he has to do it. And that's the message of the 98 Degrees song, The Hardest Thing. As rain and wind lash the palapa, Juliana and Litia approach in their cars. Grant feels very bad about squishing one of their hearts in his hands. But it boils down to who's the best fit for him. Maybe the one who he actually has things in common with. He has finally chosen in the way that you finally choose between pancakes and an omelet once everyone else at your brunch table is already ordered and the waiter is staring at you and you're like, oh, fuck, pancakes. Oh, no, I really wanted an omelet. An SUV arrives and Letia steps out. Her dress really only lets her take very tiny steps. And my first thought is that this will be bad for fleeing the scene after what's about to go down.
I know. She just has to like waddle tiny, tiny steps in those very, very high, gorgeous Gucci shoes.
Yeah.
She looks amazing, but she cannot move.
It's like comedy. Like, it's sad comedy because I want her to enjoy some freedom of movement during this painful time, but she truly is like
it's just so
like
slow. I'm like, this walk to the proposal site is interminable.
Yeah. And it seems like a sort of treacherous path. Like, she and Juliana are both picking, like, where's Jesse to walk them?
Yeah, like, can someone help them?
They're just like teetering through this like rocky path in their tiny their tall high heels and their tiny dresses. And she beams in her in the moment and says, I know that my future with Grant looks like so much love. He greets her with a kiss and says, you look beautiful. And then she tells him her little speech. She says, Grant, I started falling for you on week 2, but I didn't tell you because I don't like to express it. In Scotland, I knew that I loved you. Hearing you talk about your childhood and how alone you felt sometimes, it made me want to give you a family where you never have to feel that way. It made me want to give you a home where our kids always know that they're loved and cherished. I can see you as my husband. I feel so lucky to be loved by you. You've shown me how I want to be loved forever.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I mean, we all saw that moment and, you know, we talked about it at the time. Like, it was so obvious what she was feeling. But it is interesting that for her, it's always mediated by this, like, desire to gift someone a family. Like,
yeah, I do think that's how she conceives
family
of herself.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if like maybe that warrants some deconstruction. Not that she has to like dim down her desire to be a parent or to have a family, but I think maybe she needs someone who like wants more from her.
Yeah.
Than just the
like she is
the
not
ability
the family
to be a
that
wife
she can
and mother.
Yeah, she is not the family that she can give to them. She's also a person in her own right. And that seems like it's really taken a back seat in their relationship. Grant looks ill, and Letia seems to periodically like kind of clock how upset he looks and seem concerned. But then he'll start talking and she'll like hitch her smile back on. Like, okay, it's fine. He girds himself and he's like, Letia, I've been looking for an emotional connection. I feel like I have that with you. You're one of the most amazing, beautiful women I've ever met. You deserve love. You deserve to be treated right.
This is when I think she clocks it.
Yeah. Her face is starting to like slip.
I mean, also, you're one of the most amazing, beautiful women I've ever met. And you deserve love. Not from me. Like...
And then he says, this is hard for me. And I think she really knows. He says, Letia, I love you very much. I want to give you everything you deserve, but I'm not your person. I'm sorry it got to this point. My emotional connection is stronger somewhere else.
And this is when I expected to see Letia cry. Instead, she goes ice cold. And I was like, oh, she's fucking pissed. This was incredible television, an icon, a legend, Letia Gar.
In a way, it kind of tracks because when I think back on it, I don't think we ever see Letia like really sad for herself in that way. And even in the house, she gets a little feistier than you would expect.
I know. And I realized I hadn't been paying attention to those moments. I mean, we saw it even in episode 1 where Grant uses a pickup line on her and she very calmly is like, I really didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Or with the women, like she is not afraid to be like, this behavior is not acceptable.
No.
Like,
I have to tell you.
She's not curling up in a ball crying over the drama.
Adam watched all of this play out. He's not seen like a single episode this season. He was like, this episode's incredible. Letia is like, he was like obsessed with her. He's like, I have so much respect for her.
So her turn here, I had so many contradictory feelings about.
I think I loved it. You were like alarmed. You were scared.
Well, I loved it and I also was scared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's something about the sort of overly sweet, saccharine, like baby talk voice, like I'm the nurturing mother, like I'll take care of every need. And to have that sort of facade sort of still be there, but then what it's saying has shifted into something much more like, you have disappointed me. You are not the person that I thought you were.
That would be like a dagger to the fucking heart. Like getting dressed down by Letia sounds.
It's unsettled. Like
sobering.
it's like scary mommy. You know, it's like mean mommy hates me. Mean mommy doesn't love her big boy anymore. Like there's something about that like hits at a very like deep inner child level to see like the woman who, with the sweet like nurturing, like I'm here to take care of you, whatever you need, and suddenly it's the smile's still there, but the words have become like attack words.
I know.
That like hits the primal fear. I was like, I'm scared of Letia now.
I just was impressed that she could like comport herself so well. Like she expresses herself so well in this moment. And it's clearly everything that's happened is not what she expected to happen. So it's not like she had a little breakup speech prepared.
No, it was all in the moment. I think that the way that I was really glad and impressed that she stood up for herself instead of crumpling. And at this point, I thought it was just because he said he loved her. And I was like, he deserves it. Like he shouldn't have, when she was saying no to sex and maybe no to the fantasy suite, to like kind of like dangle that I love you to get her to say I love you. Like that's an unusual thing for a lead to do. He gave her expectations. He deserves to be checked right now.
I agree.
And then finding out later, but we'll get to that. I'm like, wow. I'm glad that she really called him.
And I am glad that she had such like clarity of mind in that moment to just say all of the things.
But there is something about watching someone, and I think part of it is just that I like her overly like solicitousness is the thing that I find unsettling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then when it suddenly
So then
switches,
it's a switch.
It creates like a sort of like, again, the primal terror for me. But this was amazing television. It was amazing.
She's like, so when did it change?
And he says it didn't. He's like, I do love you. I don't want you to feel I haven't been open or honest. I hope you don't view me. He says, I hope you don't view me any differently. And she interrupts and is like, well, I do for sure. Come on now.
She's like, come on now.
She's getting very country.
Yeah.
Come on now, Grant. And he's like, well, this is not about me. And she's like, it's all about you. Come on now.
It's so good.
And he's like, yeah, but like this moment isn't about me. I'm just worried about how you feel. And she's like, I got my answers. I'm disappointed. Yeah, you're different than I thought.
And Grant is like scooped out by this.
He is falling apart, and he's struggling with himself. He clearly wants to defend him. He keeps starting sentences that are clearly meant to like defend himself,
and then he's like,
being like,
you know what? No,
I have to take this. I have to take this. I can't like get defensive right now because I did fuck her over, and I have to just like take it. Finally, he settles on, I know you view me differently, and he's going to say something else, but she interrupts again and is like, wouldn't you? Come on. And he's like, yes, but I'm trying to figure out what suits me best.
And Letia then says, Juliana is a beautiful woman. She deserves love, and I love her. I would have a lot of questions if I were her from the things you've said to me. But that's stuff for you guys to work out. That's none of my business.
Wow. Diabolical, Letia. Diabolical. I mean, people give Madison a lot of shit for basically doing this with Mason in the pods in Love is Blind. Like basically being like, Meg should also dump you for the way that you've been talking to me. That's kind of what she's kind of like, Juliana should be done with you too.
Yeah, maybe you fucked that relationship too. Mm-hmm. Super weird. None of my business.
Yep. Not anymore. Not your problem anymore. She keeps alternating between looking at him with like this exaggerated like side-eye skepticism and like a sort of poisonous bless his heart smile that again I found deeply chilling. And Grant is like, I didn't mean to end things like this. And he's walking her out and he says, you think I've been misleading? Like, Grant, come on.
Grant.
Like, of course.
Yeah, they're like in this little wooded area and he's like, wait, like really? You think I misled you?
How does this always happen with the leads where they like do all this shit and then they're like, I thought everyone did this shit and it was fine. And it's like, no, usually they don't do this thing that you did.
Also, like it's new people experiencing it.
Right.
So
there's stuff that's normal to the process that people have to be prepared for. And then there's clearly additional stuff that you did that they didn't think
to reassure her and you
for.
didn't have to do that. And Letia's just like, come on. The things you've said along this way make this so much more devastating. The switch up is crazy.
And he's like, I didn't switch up because I do have feelings for her, for you. And then he's like, well, I guess I do have to own that, I guess. And I'm like, no, Grant, the switch up isn't that you don't actually love her. The switch up is that you made her very confident that you were going to pick her. And now you are switching up and picking someone else. That's the switch up. She's not saying like, you never loved me. She's saying you switched up on me. You changed your decision. You expressed a decision to me. You are changing that now.
And he just looks so depleted.
He apologizes again. And she's like, I didn't mean for this to happen or whatever. I didn't want to hurt you. And she's like, I believe you. And then she smiles so sweetly. And she's like, I just want to be so clear right now. I'm confused and I'm sad. And then she smiles even more sweetly. And she says, and I'm mad.
And I'm mad.
Terrifying. Like ice running through my veins right now. Like goosebumps. Also, like I'm scared.
One of the greatest exits in all of
iconic.
History.
Like
iconic.
Rockets right to iconic. Like that's maybe even more iconic than Claire Crawley.
Than Claire's. I agree. It's
incredible.
So good.
Incredible that the most boring season I think I've ever watched ended with like the most iconic,
the most iconic
rejection
exit we've
at the
ever
altar.
seen.
Incredible.
Just, I mean, I aspire. I have never responded in a moment of rejection where I was angry in such a satisfying way. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Me
just,
neither.
that's why I bow down.
Yeah, well, and I think that she usually in these moments, I always feel a certain amount of complicated, like I'm at fault in certain ways. And Letia is at this interesting place where she's like, I've poured nothing but love and openness and nurturing,
Right.
and I
She's
tried
like,
to
I've
be
actually
careful.
done
I've done nothing
wrong.
wrong. So the turn is like she feels 100% like calm and confident that she has been wronged here, and she is able to articulate that so clearly. And she finally gets into the SUV and is like, okay, wow, what a surprise. How disappointing. I felt like he loved me and he picked someone else that he loved more. I hope that I can find someone that will love me like that forever. Not today, though. And she says it definitely hurts. She's like smiling the whole time, but a couple tears do
She's
roll
really
down
trying
her
to keep it
face.
together.
I like this whole thing has just made me so much more interested in Letia.
Same.
Who I was like, she seems nice, but like it's a little much for me. All the like baby voice and like the sweetness and like not really my vibe.
This made me
This
love
made me
her,
so much more
and
interested.
This made me want to see a Bachelorette season with her, because you can see that she would have those moments of like saccharine connection, but if someone fucked with her,
Oh yeah,
she'd murder them, and it would be great.
She couldn't be I'm your future wife Letia with everyone.
With everyone,
men.
no.
So
no,
yeah, we would
I'm like
see a much fuller picture of Letia.
It's almost giving shades of like Emily Maynard a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, it's very similar. I think.
Yeah, who
Like
was
the sort of like Christian Bell.
but then
perfect
like
wife.
if you wrong her, she will read you for filth.
Yes.
And that made for an incredible season.
Yes, I would love a Letia season. I'm so bummed that we will not be getting a Letia season this summer.
Not this summer, but like still willing it into
Maybe.
existence. I mean,
Maybe
look,
one day.
we of course want her to find everything she wants. So if by the time they bring Bachelorette back,
There are two outcomes that will satisfy me. One is in like 1 month, she's like, by the way, I'm married and having a baby.
The
And
Lindsay Hubbard
surprise,
path.
the Lindsay Hubbard. And the other is she comes back next summer as Bachelorette and gives us one of the
Exactly.
most iconic seasons of The Bachelorette of all time.
Yep. These are the two paths.
We return to a silent and tense studio. It's time for Letia's hot seat. And Jesse tells her this was one of the more emotional goodbyes, which I guess is true because anger is an emotion.
I'm telling men in my life that all the time.
And she says that it doesn't make any more sense to her now than it did at the time. It was a rug pull. And this is where she starts to get into why it was such a rug pull.
Yep.
She says Grant told her from their first one-on-one very early in the season until the night before proposal day that it was them, that they were getting engaged. The last words they exchanged were her saying, I can't believe we're getting engaged tomorrow, and him saying, I know, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Grant. Don't
sorry.
say no.
She also basically says that like that first one-on-one she's referencing was in LA when they had that dinner together.
Yeah. And that they were on FaceTime with his mom, with her mom, I mean. And that Grant had given her mother reassurances, which, Grant, why? It's your first date.
Why?
There was no reason to do that.
Yeah. He told her mom on FaceTime that he was so sure it was her, he could stop the whole show right now. And said the same thing to Letia on this. This was the LA date when they had dinner together.
This is just reckless. This is really reckless behavior.
She says on the first group date, she opened up to Grant about like how intentional she was being this time, her bad experiences dating. And he's like, I'm looking for the same thing. They talked about timeline the next week. So the second week of dates, week 3.
2. She's like,
he
week
knew
2 or
the
3.
timeline. He kept reassuring her. He didn't raise any serious questions about the timeline until the very end. he's like, were you really in love with Grant? And she says, I loved the parts of Grant that he chose to show me. I learned a lot about him that day.
Devastating.
Watching it back has given me a lot of context, and I think he made the right choice. I mean, I think everyone thinks he made the right choice at this point, because obviously, but like, that must be very weird, because like he clearly wanted to be the type of person that Letia would want to have as like the strong husband and father of her beautiful giant family. And he just like kind of isn't that guy.
And he doesn't really want that. Like, and that's okay. That's great and okay.
Again, he was wanting to prove something to himself with Letia.
Yeah, I agree. I think she was more a symbol to him than a full person. And that's where I think a lot of her anger comes from. Yeah, and she's like, he was having all of this conflict, allegedly, that I wasn't let into.
Right. He wasn't transparent about him being conflicted the whole time. He was telling her how sure he was. She says she even asked him not to make promises like that because he might change his mind. She's like, I know this is an intense process and you might change your mind. And she says, every time I pumped the brakes, he pushed the gas. He kept raising the stakes. I felt like I needed to catch up to where his feelings were, which again, we saw happen quite clearly on the fantasy suites date.
I think we really picked up on that. And we even had that conversation. Like, is Grant panicking and raising the stakes in order to like secure Letia?
Yeah, which is clearly what was happening. And she says it was tough to hear he had another stronger emotional connection because that was their thing. He had told her she was his number one emotional connection. And Jesse's like, how have your mom and stepdad supported you? And she says that she got food poisoning in the Dominican Republic and she had to spend time recovering at their house. Like, this poor woman.
Just adds insult to injury.
Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. So
being on a plane with food poisoning is my actual nightmare.
Doesn't sound great. So Grant comes out and Letia gets the floor. She says she doesn't think he's a bad guy. She thinks he started out with great intentions. She says, you talked a lot about maturity and accountability and the responsibility that you felt for your partner's feelings and the 25 women you started this journey with. You made all these promises to me. I asked you not to. You said my mind's not going to change. She says that he seemingly couldn't stand to risk losing her, so he kept raising the stakes to make sure that she didn't leave. She says that he also went kind of out of bounds of the process. She says in Madrid, he gave her a journal to write her feelings in so they could share them at the end. I got the impression that like they were getting extra time off camera.
Yeah.
Or extra bits of communication that were not part of the narrative. I was actually thinking about how Nick has described how he protected Vanessa through the end. And I wonder if Grant maybe got some bad advice about how to handle this process, because he seemed like he was really focused on cultivating and protecting that primary relationship, getting extra time for her, getting extra privileges, reassuring her that it was her throughout to protect her. And then at the end, he was like, oh no, but she's not the one. I protected this person to the end and now I don't want to pick her. Like that if you end up changing your mind about the person that you tapped at the beginning to protect and shepherd through, you're really fucked because you've given her so many extra privileges, so much reassurance.
Well, and that's why, frankly, it's probably wise not to start that like protection until you're further in.
Like the first date that they had solo.
That's
like
not
week
the time.
3, not the time. It's absolutely bananas that happened. And I think that leads offer differing advice. Like Nick has been a little bit more like, you got to protect the person you're going to pick from the like.
Well, and I also think that makes sense coming from Nick because we saw he's a really decisive person. He knows and he knew.
But so a lot of other leads will say, but a lot of other leads will say, you have to keep an open mind. Stay as open as you can. You don't know what you're going to learn about yourself through the process. And guess what? The most successful leads are the ones who have had really open minds about who the person.
I mean, look at Sean,
Joey. Like, I really think that sometimes men try to be decisive at the beginning at their peril. And Nick made it through the process, but, ultimately was it the best? I don't know. Like it worked out for the season, but I don't think it was the right decision for Grant.
Yeah.
So Grant says, listen, first and foremost, as a man, I have to accept responsibility for my actions. As a man, you got to do that. He tells her that he did love her very much and she taught him a lot. It's a very difficult situation that I'm in, he says. I just want to apologize for hurting you, hurting your feelings, and hurting the people that love you. He says he had to make the decision that was best for him, and it came down to the wire.
And you can see Letia being like, okay, you're getting close to taking accountability, but you're not actually mentioning the things you said to me, right? Like, she's like, I'm not pissed that you hurt me. Like,
right. She's mad about how it happened. Jesse asks if he regrets telling Letia he loved her, and Grant is like, no, I did love her, but I regret the mistakes I made, like speaking too early when I didn't know how conflicted I would be.
And at that point, you see Letia's face be like, okay, yep, thank you. You're finally getting there. Saying something specific.
He says, I didn't know the severity of this journey. It's a whirlwind, especially when you have a woman of such stature. He and Juliana really are connected in this too. The little like, tiny malapropisms or like slightly wrong word choices.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think he meant like the seriousness of the journey.
Yeah.
The weight of the journey.
Yeah.
A woman of such stature. I'm like,
she's a woman of stature.
She is a woman of stature.
He points, and then Letia's like, okay, but like, this isn't about you speaking too soon. It's about the fact that you kept it up the whole season. You kept going out of bounds. You kept raising the stakes. You weren't transparent to me that you are becoming conflicted. And there's applause. Everyone's like, yeah, Letia, you tell him. And Grant's response is that it's hard to compartmentalize, but he can admit his mistakes. Okay. I almost feel like Grant isn't quite capable of recognizing in himself why this happened.
No, I think what he was just like, I have to come in and I have to take it and I have to just say, yes, I accept responsibility. Right. But he's not like stating himself. The things.
Yeah,
no.
Like he's not identifying something like, for example, I felt so sure about you that it was hard for me to admit to myself that I wasn't sure anymore. And I sort of believed that it was going to be you at the end until the very last minute. And then I realized that I'd been like hiding something from myself. Like he can't like unpack that. He's just like, I made mistakes. I'm sorry. Jesse asks Letia if she'd do anything differently, and she says no. She was herself. She was transparent about everything, including her timeline. And she says, I'm excited for this to be the last time I talk to you about this. I'm glad that whole last week isn't a part of my love story. I know that I deserve someone waking up one morning and knowing without a shadow of a doubt that they're going to choose me. So, any final thoughts on Grant and Letia?
No, just that I want to see a Bachelorette season.
I definitely do.
Yeah, with her. Like
I
think she'd be great at it. And I think she really shined. And I was like, oh, now I do actually understand why she's clearly become like a beloved member of like the Bachelor Nation alum community.
Yeah, I think she would make a great lead. And I would love to see different sides of her. I don't know if we touched on this because I've talked so much about Letia and Grant, also to my mother-in-law and like to you guys on text and stuff. But I feel like it's really like kind of almost what you would expect out of the arc that Grant had with her. Like we talked about how each of his final three was almost like had a familial relationship to him, like represented something that he wanted to like fix about his family. And that with Juliana, it's maybe to be able to step into that role as like the good husband and father and like protector. And
Letia's the mommy. And
she's the mommy. And he really wanted his hot mommy's attention and love. And once he kind of got it, maybe he didn't need it anymore. That's kind of
That's the
one part of what I saw. Yeah.
And now she turned into mean mommy. And we all benefited for our entertainment. But we have to head back to rainy Punta Cana because Grant is going to get a happy ending.
Grant knows in his heart that Juliana makes him happy. She's beautiful, has strong character, and is compassionate, which is also probably the exact same way he would describe Letia.
How does she carry herself, Grant? We'll learn.
Do you remember Joey's season, how he would have these like very specific observations and compliments about the women? I miss that.
I know. It's so hard to do. Joey's like the only one I can remember doing that.
Yeah, it's rare. He sees a forever love with her. And Juliana is approaching, and she's thinking about how she's so in love with this man. She wants him to choose her, and she wants to keep choosing him over and over until death do us part.
And
So
luckily, her dress allows for, wider strides.
Yeah, it's like calf length, so she's got more range of motion, too. She greets Grant, and just like with Letia, he welcomes her with, "You look beautiful," and a kiss. She says, "Grant, not too long ago, there was a part of me that believed I may not be deserving of true love. But today I stand in front of a man who gave me a reason to fight those beliefs. We've come so far, Mr. Ellis, from trying to win you over with my lack of basketball skills, our deeper connection flying over the castles in Scotland. I can now stand in front of you as a woman who feels very deserving of the type of love you've given me. I want to protect your heart with every piece of mine. But most importantly, I believe that between you, me, our families, and God, the sky is the limit. I just want you to know that I love you, and you'd make me the luckiest girl in the world if I could spend the rest of my life with you, because that's what I want so badly."
And Grant looks happy, not like he's about to vomit. So things
yeah.
are going better.
Things are looking good. He's like, hell yeah. And she has said the magic thing also, which is like, "Grant, your love has healed me. Where I was broken, I'm now whole because of your love." He beams. He's like, "Juliana, since our first night playing the piano, we've always had a connection. Through this whole journey, you've been somebody who has inspired me and kept me laughing with your contagious smile." I love the idea that her smile just makes him laugh. Like he sees her smile and he's like, ha 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 ha. I've never had that experience from a smile. He says, "I truly believe that you're somebody who is my best friend." Sorry.
Okay.
Writing all this down is making me over-examine it, but like I believe that you're somebody who is my best friend.
You needed an editor. It's okay.
You can cut like half of that sentence. "I'm so grateful for our journey. When you're going through the toughest times in your life, I want you to know you don't have to go through it alone. I'll be there for you as your man, as your friend, and as your partner." So she's like, "Okay, it's me."
She's like, "It's me." He kneels. He pulls out the ring. It's the beautiful emerald cut diamond with baguettes and the gold band. He proposes. She says yes. They kiss. They're just so happy. She squeals a lot. This is the thing she does when she's excited. We see it at AFR too. And they continue the whole wolf pack thing.
He's like, "I can't wait to be part of the wolf pack." He gives her the final rose. And in their couple in the moment together, she says, "Love is a choice, and he chose me today. I just feel like he'll choose me forever." And they do like wolf pack, like hand gestures, and then they make the wolves.
You know
kiss.
what? It's the right match.
Even their inner wolves want to kiss. That's the chemistry of this couple.
So back in the studio, Grant is on stage and he looks a lot more relaxed.
Yeah. Oh, I also wanted to say there is a rainbow, which feels fitting for how rough the moment before he got his happy ending was. It's like
that's
the
so
beauty
true.
that comes out of the rain.
Yeah. He's like, as his father said, someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And life goes on.
And there's a rainbow. And then there's a very awkward slow-mo shot of you kissing that if I were me, I would be like, I wish you didn't.
Yeah, I was like,
that.
why? Why did they do the slow-mo? But okay, that was a choice.
So yes, he's in the studio.
So Grant's on stage. He's happy. He's like, Juliana is my rock. She's my best friend. And apparently their families have been so supportive. And he feels so blessed to finally have the woman he always wanted at 31. But don't worry, she's not 31.
The number 31 is just like so meaningful to Grant. He's like,
it's
31,
really good.
I'm 31.
It's actually really good when it's me.
Yeah.
It's less good when it's a woman.
If I'm Letia backstage, I'm like, oh, is it nice to have the relationship you've always wanted at 31? It does sound nice, doesn't it? Jesse asks how hard the final days were, and Grant says, very hard. He truly felt he was searching for his wife. And he did it. Again, it's like the "you're somebody who is my best friend" format, or like I was searching for someone who was my wife.
And I thought it was notable that even he was like, this process, real expedited.
Yeah. It's almost, he says it in a way where it's almost like The Bachelor is an expedited process, but also like this specifically.
This
was an
one
expedited
was
process.
extra.
Yeah. Whenever they do a short season, I think Charity is like the only one who's pulled it off.
Yeah.
Usually it's such a disaster.
But they do seem really happy. So Juliana comes on stage in a sparkly dark strapless gown. They like sequins. They're are coordinated in like aubergine plum. I loved it. I thought Grant's suit was great. I thought Juliana looked great.
Yeah.
They're a team. Sartorially.
I'm sorry. I have to make fun of one more thing that he said about Juliana, and then I'll stop.
Oh, I forgot he said this.
Jesse asks if it was worth it, and he says, yes, to find somebody who's your life partner is extremely hard.
Like, again, Grant, that doesn't mean anything. You know what?
It's
They're
like
a match
saying,
made in heaven. They're both just going to like say empty, confused sentences to each other their whole lives.
it's just so, it's like saying to find someone who's a notary is very hard. It's like, I'm looking around, there are people around here. Surely one of them is a notary, and I need a notary right now. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you're going around asking random people, are you my life partner? I got to find somebody who's my life partner.
And it's hard.
And it's hard. There's only one of them. Anyway, moving on. They're on stage together now, matching in plum, as you said. And like every winner of the show, what do you think she's so excited to do now?
Go to dinner.
Go to dinner. They can finally go to dinner.
In public. To be fair, that is my personal favorite activity, going to dinner in public. So,
And I think, honestly, basically every person who goes on this show, it is their favorite activity as well.
I mean, that's like most of life, kind of, in your 20s and 30s when you don't have children.
Especially
it's
if
like
you're
a
like
lot of dinners.
Truly the kind of person who like is into something like going on The Bachelor, that's like social, like wants to get out and like, maybe travel and like do
They're never like, I can't wait to go to the club. They're like, I want to go to dinner with my partner.
Right, with my fiance. Jesse asks what about Grant allowed her to show her vulnerable side, and she says she's very confident in herself, which took her many years of work, and she found a safe place in him in Scotland. And I don't know how that answers Jesse's question, but that's what she says. Jesse asks what about Juliana made her the right decision for Grant, and he says her outlook on life, her demeanor, and rising above situations. She is a solid foundation for him, and she has proven that. Again, this is like pretty much like probably exactly what he would say about Letia, except he would also say like, I knew she would be an amazing mother.
And Jesse is kind of trying to probe, like, Juliana, were you pissed about how this ended and how conflicted he was right up to the end? And she's basically like, no.
Yeah. He's like, did you give him enough grief? And she's like, no, what I gave him was grace. He leads with his heart, and he came into this open-minded. He had a great group of girls, but I'm confident in myself. He made a great decision. So I kind of thought she might see it this way, and I have a theory for why. It's the come from behind tie theory. Like when I'm watching a soccer game and our team is down the whole game and then they score at the end and they tie, it feels like a win. But if you're winning the whole game and then out of nowhere, they pull even right at the end, it feels like you lost.
A loss.
I think Juliana, Letia saw it differently, but for Juliana, she knew she was taking a while to open up. She knew like, maybe we can't get there. Maybe I'm too guarded. And so for it to be tough at the end, for him to let go of the person that he had connected with earlier, it feel like an insult to her. Yeah, it makes sense. Right. And instead, she's just like, we had such a strong connection that I was able to kind of surge past this person that he was able to bond with earlier because she was more open than me.
Right. And also clearly now it's been months. So it's like they're in a real relationship.
Yeah. And sometimes that kind of thing can cause tension, but it seems like the way she sees it, she's not,
she's like not pressed about it.
Yeah. She's like, he made the right decision. So.
And he did.
Yeah, I think he should have picked the woman that he was just like, we have so much fun together. Jesse points out their families in the audience and asks Juliana's dad how it feels to see her with Grant. And her dad is like, it's been a blast. I don't have a problem on my hands anymore. It's great. We're going to get the families together. It's so good.
That's sweet.
And Grant, he asked Grant about what it meant to have his dad's support. And he's like, not just my dad. My whole family had the support, couldn't be replaced. To be clear, they're all great.
And we also learn that Grant is moving up to Boston.
He's shipping up to Boston. Juliana's like, he's shipping up to Boston, baby. And I was like, does she know that the Dropkick Murphys are like big lefties?
He's not worrying about that. I did appreciate, though, that he is moving to her.
Yeah. And I was like, how does Letia feel about that? Because he was not looking to move to Utah.
Yeah, I really think he was not.
He was like,
he's
Utah,
like,
what about New Jersey?
Yeah, Massachusetts I can do.
Jesse also tells them to polish up Grant's terrible pizza making skills. They're sending them to Italy.
I do enjoy that they like send a lot of the couples on vacations now. It's really the least they can do.
Yeah, it really is. It's probably basically free for them.
So that is like the end of the season. And then we're right on to more announcements about Paradise.
Well, the way they frame this is so weird because he's like, soon an announcement about Paradise. And then it's like randomly Zoe's hot seat, which she never really got because she was in the final 3. And so she wasn't at Women Tell All. And then she wasn't really included in the finale.
I know. It's very funny that they're like, okay, we're going to do it at the end because then she's going to be on Paradise. But we're also going to make it seem like a Bachelorette reveal, kind of.
Yeah, or just like, Zoe, we never talked to you. How was it for you to be sent home? And it's like, we've moved so far past.
We've moved past it. We're over it, and she's fine. But it's a sweet. She looks stunning. I thought she looked amazing. I like that she was like, I'm awkward. I'm myself. I've learned a lot. And then he invites her to Paradise.
I also thought that it was very telling that she was like, I'm competitive and I made it to the end, so I'm proud of myself.
And we're like, yeah, girl. You know what? I could see that.
I can definitely see that. It's not like a Bachelorette reveal thing to say, though. Like, it was a very, like, this is a sport way of framing it. And I did
she's
good.
Perfect for Paradise.
Yeah. And yeah, so then Jesse asks her to Paradise and she says yes. And he tells us there's going to be a little twist to Paradise this summer. And he invites on 2 guests to explain. He says, please welcome your first ever Golden Bachelor in Paradise cast members.
I'm so happy.
Gary and Leslie come on stage looking happy.
To be clear, not Gary, the former Golden Bachelor. Gary from Golden Bachelorette.
Yes. Do we have a last initial for him that I can?
I forget his.
Gary L from Golden Bachelorette and Leslie F from Golden Bachelor come on stage. And Jesse says that for the first time ever, golden men and women will be hitting the beaches of Paradise. The men and women are golden. And they will be just amidst the non-golden men and women. It'll be a mix. And
he does not explain
how
the
this will
structure.
work.
He's like, I'll let you just noodle on that. It seems likely to me. It seems likely to me that it's going to be more of like seeing this intergenerational friendship, seeing like some mentorship between the golden cast members and the non-golden cast members. I think it'll be fun.
One thought is they might leave it open, like it's all the same pool basically, in order to kind of get that like MILF Manor juice. Like, ooh, like is Leslie gonna go out with like Blake or whatever? Or, is who is even literally anyone's name? I'm completely blanking. Is Zoe gonna ask out Gary? I don't know. But I think I would be surprised if there were any like serious crossover if they did that.
Same.
I think it would more be just to like almost a gimmick.
Well, I think because I feel like it would kind of dilute the Golden brand if they pushed this like 20-year age gap.
It would be more than 20 years. It would be like 30 to 40 years.
30, 40 year. Yeah, I don't know. It would feel a little gross, to be honest.
I mean, I think especially like if it were, because they've already like teetered on the brink of like, here's a 39-year-old bachelor and here's his like 22 to 29-year-old.
Well, exactly. I'm like, I don't need to see like a 65-year-old man like hitting on a 25-year-old. I just don't need that.
But then what's like, are they just going to count on them staying within their own age range and still
or
doing
are
one
there
pool,
kind
or
of
are they
like
going to separate it?
Yeah, kind of two pools, but
because that just sounds like format wise messy to be like, we're going to have like 2 rose ceremonies and like 2,
or it could be 1 rose ceremony, but they're just not going out with people in the other like cast.
That's
pool.
more what I meant. Like 1 rose ceremony, but like they probably would never offer a rose to someone.
Yeah.
Or maybe maybe a friendship rose. Maybe they'd be like, you deserve to stay and find love with your own golden
They could maybe do friendship roses, which I guess would be like cute.
Or maybe
I don't know.
It's just a number. Maybe we'll see the first intergenerational Bachelor Nation couple. Who knows?
I have a lot of... I am so curious who's going to round out the rest of the cast, because that's also telling. Like, it would be one thing if they brought on people from like very early seasons.
Yeah.
Who happened to still be single or whatever, and they're now in like their late 40s.
The more I think about it, I'm like, this sounds like it's going, like, already Paradise is so messy. There are so many storylines to cram in, and it gets very overwhelming.
I hope that they're going to be smart with the structure.
I'm excited for Paradise, but I'm like, I'm a little.
We'll see how they. We'll see how they pull this.
I was hoping for like a separate Golden Paradise, but you know.
Me too, but you know what? They probably just like logistically do not have.
Yeah, they wanted to keep it simple.
2 crews, and they probably want 1 set. A little birdie did tell me that it is definitely not at the same location. Blessedly.
What's not at the same location?
Paradise.
It's going to be at a different resort than usual.
A different,
okay,
totally different location. So
not
I do
Paradise
think
without crabs and like sand everywhere.
There might still be sand and crabs, but I do think you can't integrate Golden cast members and like not give them air conditioning. Like,
I don't know. People of all ages live in very hot countries.
I think they would be opening themselves up to some real liabilities health-wise.
They already are. Like, usually,
right? They already are. So look, I'm saying I think the full cast will benefit from this addition.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think the accommodations will have to change, and I was told that they are. So.
Okay, interesting. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. They're like, we're excited to hit the beach and find love. And Leslie says in a somewhat reproachful tone to Jesse that she's looking forward to continuing her journey.
I'm cheering for Leslie so hard. She's
like,
girl.
all my false starts at continuing my journey with ABC. It's finally happening. So let's get into love to see it, hate to see it.
Let's start with hate to see it. I hate to see 3 hours. Why did we need 3 hours? We didn't.
We had to have that panel so that people understood that it's okay for Grant to tell Letia behind the scenes that he's picking her the whole time. We needed that. I also hated to see another black and white cookie outfit from Grant. I'm just not loving that look for him. Please do better by him. He's a handsome man.
Also hated to see just that whole filler segment explaining to the audience why it's definitely okay for the lead to be in love with multiple women and tell them that, and really just tell them that he's picking one and then pick the other.
Yeah, not great. I hated to see Letia revealing that Grant told her explicitly that she is the one he was choosing from their first date, including telling her mom on FaceTime and getting extra time off camera, giving her secret gifts and basically being like, it's definitely you. Can't wait to start a family.
I think that was the big hate to see it of the episode.
But also I love to see it because this episode was so boring, and I just like, this almost honestly felt kind of like old school Bachelor drama.
I know.
Where like a shocking thing happened and it was messy, and then she was like cathartically like, but no. And everyone's like, yay, Letia. But then you still didn't feel so sick at the end.
Yeah, you didn't feel like anyone was tortured to the point of no return. And you know what? That's something I love to see.
Yeah, that's our first love to see it, is finally some drama this season. but everyone's probably going to be okay in the end.
Yep. Also, love to see Grant's heartfelt, teary conversation with his father. I mean, I just felt like they were modeling some real healthy masculinity, healing intergenerational trauma, forgiveness. It was beautiful.
I also love to see Juliana and Litia's proposal day dresses, which were beautiful.
Stunning.
And of course, Emma has the hookup. So if I want to buy one to lounge around my apartment or do the dishes, I can. Self-portrait. Thank you so much.
I just personally love Litia's face and love staring at it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's nice.
I loved Litia's iconic and terrifying and beautiful exit. And that she did also like affirm and express love for Juliana. But like that one is going down in the history books. And I just felt alive when it was that. And also scared that I was about to be dead. Like I can't explain the mingling of fear and admiration.
But ultimately thrilled. Ultimately thrilled. Thrilled. Oh my God. Yes. Oh, we need... Wow.
Yeah.
We need a mug or something. I'm disappointed and I'm sad.
Oh my God, we do need... Oh my God, I need that mug. I need that mug. I need that mug.
I also love to see Grant and Juliana's matching aubergine formal AFR outfits. Gorgeous.
That was very Love is Blind reunion coded.
It was. It really was. They're learning.
Matching formal AFR outfits for the win. I love to see a happy ending. Like, despite his crimes and misdemeanors of Bachelor Nation, I think Grant is a nice guy. I think he meant well. I think that he really does want to be in a serious relationship. And I think that he chose the person that he actually connects with more on a human level. And I think that's growth. So I'm happy for them and that he is moving to be with Juliana, which I think also shows a healthy masculinity and like confidence.
I agree. And this brings us to our final drama rating out of 10 Yes Drama Llamas. Like,
we're like
so much of this was so boring.
Yeah.
So I was landing around a 5. Like, I thought the drama was very high quality.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of non-drama.
There was like a 30-minute period that was a 10.
Exactly.
And then the rest of it was a 1. So I'm going to say 6. I'm going to say 6.
I guess just for the iconic quality of the drama.
So good.
It was so good. It was
So good.
amazing. Okay, yeah, a 6 seems fair. And on that note, that is it for this episode of Love to See It with Emma and Claire.
Love to See It is a presentation of Odyssey. The show is produced by us, Claire Fallon and Emma Gray. This episode was edited by Tori Piskin. Our theme music is by Tamar Haviv, and our art is by Aaron Nestor.
If you like our show, remember to follow, rate us 5 stars, leave a review, and of course, spread the word to all of your friends about Love to See It.
If you want to get in touch, you can email us at claireandemmapod@gmail.com.
You can also find us on TikTok at Love to See It Pod and on Instagram at Claire and Emma Pod. And you can find our newsletter Rich Text on Substack at claireandemma.substack.com. I'm also on Blue Sky at Emma Gray and on Instagram at Emma Lady Rose.
And I'm at Claire E. Fallon. Special thanks to the team at Odyssey, Eric Donnelly, Aaron Constantino, Kate Rose, Moira Curran, Melissa Wester, Carly Snyder, and Hillary Schuff.
We'll be back soon with a Temptation Island recap.